You are an emotional projector. So what that means is your emotions are your authority. And I want to talk a little bit about the projector aura because I love projectors so much because that type in human design is really someone who is like a visionary, someone who can just really see things, really master systems, and then you're here to guide people in the collective with what you see and what you know. So that's one of the, the powers of being a projector is like being a leader. And, one of the things that some projectors can experience is because they don't have their sacral defined. So your sacral is right here near the bottom of your chart. That is like consistent life force energy. Because you don't have that sacral defined, you may notice that you really work well in like ebbs and flows with what you do. And where most of the collective is in this kind of hustle and grind, like do lots of things all the time, your gift is really about sharing wisdom and guiding others. 9 different centers in the human design chart that are based off of the chakra system. So you know how there's 7 chakras, 7, 8 chakras, depending on where you study from, have split into 9 different centers, and each of these centers has their own energetic theme. Okay, so you have your emotional center, so in the far bottom right here, defined, and then your root center. So the emotional solar plexus is when you have that defined, that means that you have consistent connection to your emotions and your energy within that center. So that's also your authority. So you talked about wanting to make decisions. When you make decisions, the way that you're designed to make decisions is that you need to give yourself the time and space to process all of your emotions before you make a decision. And that's really where you're going to get to that point of clarity. And I think that it's interesting because 50% of the population will have their emotional solar plexus defined, and that means that that's their authority. So most of the population is literally meant to make decisions based off of their emotions and their feelings about things. When if you look at society, it's very much like you want to make fast decisions, you want to make lots of decisions. Like, do you get what I'm saying? So that's really a gift for you to slow down, feel into your emotions. And the other thing is, because you have so much openness in your chart, the other centers are undefined. When you shared with me that you like have a hard time making decisions, it would really help you if when you need to make decisions, you take that space on your own so that you're not picking up the energy of other people. When we have undefined centers in our charts, we pick up the energy from our environment, we pick up the energy from other people. And so when you're experiencing all this energy from other people, it's going to be more challenging for you to really feel and process your emotions, which is where you're supposed to be making your decisions from. One of the other things I want you to know is that with the openness that you have, so we'll look at the throat center, because it's all open. So that means open means there's no hanging gates or channels. So with the open throat center, I also have an open throat center, and this is such a gift. It's literally a wisdom portal. Like the experience that you have is that, it's almost like you can have a voice for the voiceless. Like in the room, you're going to pick up on the things that are not being said, and you're going to be able to say it and reflect it in a way that just resonates with those people and really like hit home for them. So just because you have undefined centers, it doesn't mean that, they in traditional human design terms, they say when you have undefined centers that you have inconsistent energy there because you pick up on your environment, but there's a lot of gifts in having that openness, right? So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the throat center, and I'm curious if what I shared with you resonates.
Yeah, it does. And I wrote down a question of what I can't speak up in a crowd. I cannot speak up in a group. I can't share. I cannot.
So here, I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna make so much sense. Do you find it easier to share when you're invited to share?
It's funny. I think I'm nervous to ask for that, but sometimes I think, oh, I want somebody to call on me, so then I have to because I get nervous and whatever. But
So I want you to know that the strategy of a projector is to wait for the invitation. Because as a projector, you see things so deeply, you have so much wisdom. When you're invited to share that wisdom, that's when the people that you're helping or working with are going to be able to receive it because there's an invitation for you to share your wisdom. If you think about, let's say in any situation, really, if we go and we give advice to someone or we share something with someone and they're not ready to receive it, then there's going to be this experience of rejection, right? It's like, well, I didn't ask for that and I don't agree with that. But when somebody's ready to receive what you're sharing, that's when the gifts land. That's when you, as a projector, so your strategy is to wait for the invitation. Your signature to know that you're in alignment is that you feel recognized and you feel this success, like the wisdom that you've shared has really helped or landed or like shifted that person that you're working with.
Yes.
So one of the things that you can do, because if once you get into human design, you're gonna see these sort of stigmas that come up where people are like, well, if I just have to wait for the invitation, then I'm just gonna wait around my whole life. But there's some ways that you can dance with this, right? And that's really being particular, especially because you have so much openness in your chart of where you choose to show up. You go into communities and groups of friends that are going to support you and invite you to share your wisdom, right? So that you can give your gifts and make the biggest impact. So that's one of the things. And even what you said, you can ask for the invitation, like, hey, like I want to share my story. Like, is it okay? And obviously when they say yes, and you feel energetically that I can open up, I can share, that's a perfect opportunity for you to share. Because obviously if you pull yourself out of those environments where you don't get to be invited, you're not going to get used to being seen. So actually one of the next things I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about the splenic center. But so I want to talk about the splenic center here on the left-hand side. The splenic center, you have it completely undefined. So again, it's open, it's vast, it's going to amplify what energy you receive from other people or from the environment. So the splenic center has to do with your fears and also your intuitions, your inner knowings. So when I want you to just start noticing when you're in environments and let's say someone is sharing with you and they're experiencing fears or they're just doubting their intuition, to really pay attention to if you pick up the fears of other people, to know that they're not yours and that you're actually amplifying that for others. So just always ask yourself, especially because of your openness in your chart, are these my emotions? Are these my experiences or my beliefs, or am I picking this up from someone else? And that's really going to help you continue to clear yourself so that you can get back to tapping into your own emotions and making decisions and showing up to be invited to share your wisdom. And let's talk about your G center. So the G center is in the center of your chart, and it really has to do with your self-identity, lovability, and sense of direction in life. So what that means when you have it undefined is that you may notice when you travel or you go into certain environments or you're with certain people that you really pick up on their energy and their sense of direction. You may feel influenced by that. And then when you leave, you may notice that sense of consistency is not present because you're out of that energy. So one of the things with the G center, just to remember to, because you know how in society they really push consistency, right? Like know who you are, know where you're going. Like there's this sort of drive with that. But to know that your gifts is to have fluidity and that you can change, like let's say growing a business, if you're someone who wants to change your branding and change your style more frequently, you're literally designed to do that. It's about doing the things that you love doing, but then also resting when needed. And that's something that's the gifts. That is like the huge gifts of projectors, manifestors, reflectors, of the non-sacral beings. That's what you're bringing into the collective, is this rest, right? Slowing down. So I just wanted to share that with you. And this is a big conditioning center actually, because 70% of the population will have their sacral defined. So for example, there's a lot of projectors out there who have been in this like hustle and grind and burnout and just continue doing things, but they're not designed to do that. They're meant to be the visionaries, the guides, to guide people like myself as a generator on the direction to go. Yeah. And I think you're feeling the pressure of, let's say somebody's like, oh, I'm dealing with this really challenging situation in my business. Like I need to hire someone. I can't find the right person. Like I just don't know what to do. And they have this pressure. And then you're sitting there and you're like, oh, if I can find you the answer, then I can relieve the pressure that I'm feeling from you right now, even though it has nothing to do with me. And I want you to know that as a projector, you seeing how to do something differently and know that that's what works for you, is to fully trust that. That is like one of the biggest gifts of the projector is seeing things so deeply. And because of your openness in your head and ajna, you are going to have different perspectives, right? So really just trusting yourself to do it that way, it will pay off.